a short time ago, half a continent was marching to its rhythm. The whole world shook to the impact of its reverberation. Every nation in the world heard it. Some tried to close their ears to it. Some belatedly realized the menace and began to take steps. The majority listened, hypnotized in horrified fascination. Recognize it now? Yes, it's the Horse Vessel Song, the marching song of Nazi aggression, the musical setting for a philosophy of conquest and enslavement. There were three prongs to the Nazi spearhead of aggression, three campaigns pursued simultaneously as one gigantic program. First,
the diplomatic, a campaign to spread moral confusion, mass lies, and diplomatic intimidation, to frighten the small nations into submission, to confuse, divide, and weaken the great powers.
That was the first campaign to falter and to fail because of the diplomatic quarantine applied to aggressor nations. It collapsed when 62 nations went to war against the menace of totalitarian force.
The next prong to the spearhead of aggression was the military.
The military campaign, too, ended in failure after the most costly and destructive war in history. The third campaign was economic and was largely broken up or paralyzed during wartime. This is a campaign that still goes on, disguised, hidden, worming deep into the national life of many nations. This is a secret war, a war that we have not yet won.
Our program for today is the story of the Blacklist, one of America's main defenses against the Nazi weapon of economic aggression. Because this economic war has not yet been won, and the necessity for secrecy continues, the names of countries, firms, and individuals in this program are fictitious. But the material is based upon the authentic record of one of America's most powerful economic weapons, the Blacklist.
What is the Blacklist and why is it necessary? Well, here's a picture of a Nazi economic campaign that faced this country at the beginning of the war. It was told in 1941 by the chief of the State Department Division of World Trade Intelligence.
The Axis is now engaged in the attempt to penetrate the economics of all nations, large and small, for the subjugation of the national economy of entire countries to Axis purposes. Their methods include international cartels, patent pools, syndicates, and other monopolistic and restrictive arrangements backed up by carefully directed and unlimited bribery and by force or the threat of force. German foreign business representatives are encouraged to acquire local citizenship so that they can carry on their activities after the breaking of diplomatic relations or the declaration of war. But more than this, they act as centers of espionage, political pressure, the planning of sabotage activities, and the smuggling of war materials to Germany, the collection and the transmission of information concerning ship movements and war plans, and the maintenance of clandestine radio stations.
Well, that was the picture. It was warfare as coldly planned, as ruthless as any fought with guns. And on July 17, 1941, came a vital blow in the American counteroffensive, struck by the President of the United States, Franklin D. Roosevelt.
There is hereby instituted a proclaimed list of all persons and firms
that have been operating on behalf of the totalitarian power or against the security of this hemisphere. Inclusion on the proclaimed list will immediately set in motion the entire machinery of economic welfare sanctions. All assets the person or firm may possess in this country will be frozen. All movement of funds will be stopped. Export licenses and other economic facilities will be denied. And the fullest sanctions of the European blockade will be invoked against such persons or firms.
With the establishment of the proclaimed or blacklist, Axis firms and their collaborators were faced with economic strangulation. Some denounced their Axis connections and were permitted to continue in business under strict surveillance. Others only pretended to comply with allied regulations. And there was a large group of other firms against which nothing was known, who continued in business unsuspected as secret Nazi economic cells.
The North American Mineral Corporation request immediate delivery of 2 tons of cobalt. Signed, Philip G. Andreas. Please ship 500 drums of light petrolatum at your earliest convenience. Philip G. Andreas. Cross shipment 2 kilos wire cable. Andreas. Consignment of mercury received. Remittance herewith enclosed. Philip G. Andreas.
Who was Philip G. Andreas? What did he want with cobalt, petrolatum, wire cable, mercury, and other prime essentials of war? The record showed that he was a native-born Central American. His business, an import-export wholesale concern. Nothing wrong with that. Or was there? Someone had to find out. Department of State, Washington, D.C., to Consul Lawrence Coit. Large consignments of raw materials of war consigned to Philip G. Andreas Import-Export Company. No evidence here which would justify withholding shipment. Check purchaser and ultimate destination. Evasion of war embargoes. As an economic weapon, the blacklist was useless unless the secret Axis collaborators could be unmasked and their activities exposed. But without a foreign secret service, the United States had no organization trained for such work. Many government agencies collaborated on the task, and thus it was that the men of the Foreign Service found a new duty thrust upon them. They were charged with the enforcement of the blacklist.
Lawrence Coit, Consul to Department of State. Andreas concern recently received shipment of $350,000 worth of mercury. I'm checking all details.
Mercury, a heavy, silvery, liquid metal, poisonous but otherwise harmless in its natural state, but converted to fulminate of mercury, a deadly and essential detonator of the high explosives of war. Mercury, $350,000 worth of it. Brought to a dingy warehouse of an obscure trading concern in a neutral country of Central America. Who brought it here? For what purpose? Who was to pay for it?
Senor Gomez, I'm Lawrence Coit, American consul here. I understand that your bank handles the accounts of the Philip Andreas Company.
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Coit.
The American government is very anxious to find out what foreign drafts Mr. Andreas is receiving, the amounts and the countries they come from.
You wish to examine the account of Senor Andreas?
That's right. We suspect he's smuggling contraband of war to the Axis. He may or may not be guilty. We've got to find out.
But, Senor, the bank cannot divulge the business of a depositor to an unauthorized person.
We have our obligations to our depositors.
Let's put our cards on the table. Both of our countries have placed an embargo on shipments to Japan. I know from long experience your own reputation for square dealing. At the moment, we don't want Senor Andreas to know he's under investigation. Now, will you help? Consul Lawrence Coit, the Department of State, Washington, D.C. Andreas receiving heavy financial backing from Japanese banks. Purpose of draft unspecified. Evidence indicates Japanese... The Consul Lawrence Coit. Japanese money possibly consigned for purchase of non-embargoed materials. Check on destination and contents of shipment. Consul Lawrence Coit to Vice Consul William White. Shipment of mercury left here Thursday, consigned to Andreas Warehouse, your city. Essential you check transshipment and ultimate destination. Suspect an attempt will be made. It is 1 o'clock in the morning, and on the docks in the harbor, peons are working under floodlights, loading cargo into the hold of the Japanese freighter Marikaru. And standing in the shadows, unobserved, watching intently, is American Vice Consul William White. He shrinks further back into the shadows as steps approach. Then relaxes as he recognizes the stranger. Hey, Jim. That's you, Bill?
Yeah. Come on over here, will you? I don't want to be seen.
That's not off work. What are you doing here at this hour?
Picking up on a shipment going on to the Marikaru from the Andreas Warehouse. Leave it done for sailing day 12 hours. The whole setup looks phony.
Why do you think so?
Just a hunch. I feel there's something wrong. Maybe they'll try to slip something else on. Maybe...
What is it?
The barrels of rosin they're loading.
What about them?
Why should it take 4 men to lift one of those barrels?
4 men?
Look at them. Having a hard time at that.
You're right. It'll take 2 men at the most.
You wait here and watch. I'm going to rout the chief of customs out of bed and get an order to stop that shipment.
Stop! Put that barrel down. Who are you giving orders to? Who are you? Customs police. I have authorization to search these shipments. Here. Now, open the barrel. No. Read the paper. You, open it.
Yes, senor.
Rosin, as you see.
It's something to probe that with, officer. Rosin could hide a lot of things.
This steel pin will do. Now then. No. Yes. Something here. You. See where the pin is. Dig in there and see what you find.
Yes, senor.
Got it?
I have something.
Here it comes. There. A flash. Heavy.
Mercury.
This shipment is confiscated. You are all under arrest. $350,000 worth of mercury, shipped from the mines of Mexico to a Central American harbor. Its purchaser, Japan. Its purpose, the manufacture of high explosives. The result, due to the alertness of a Foreign Service officer, confiscation. And the further result, the firm of Philip Z. Andreas is hereby placed upon the blacklist of the United States. And so the work of economic strangulation went on. The stream of money and goods flowing to the Axis was reduced to a trickle as the leaks in the system were detected and plugged. And where the blacklist was not effective as a weapon, other methods were devised. In a large city of a neutral country in the year 1941, the American consul visits the president of an important small arms manufacturing company.
Senor Vitez, we understand that your firm has received an order from the German government for 50,000 army pistols. Is that correct?
Yes, senor, it is correct. And I might add, we have agreed to fill the order.
Oh? You realize that your firm will be placed on the blacklist?
Yes, senor, I realize that. It does not make me tremble, your blacklist. Germany can give us all the business we can undertake, and unfortunately for you, the shipment will go overland by rail to Germany. Your blockade cannot touch us. The shipment will be delivered.
I wouldn't be too sure of that, Senor Vitez. That shipment will not be delivered. May I speak with you a moment, Senor?
What do you want?
My name is Francis. I'm the American consul here. Will you come over to my table a moment? I don't want to be overheard.
No? Very well, then.
Sit down.
What is it?
You work in the shipping department of the Constellation Small Arms Company.
Si, senor.
Would you be willing to do something to help defeat fascism?
Me? Why do you come to me?
I've looked into your record, Senor. We know that you hate the fascists.
Be careful. What do you want?
Your company has received an order for 50,000 pistols from the German army. We intend that this shipment shall not be delivered. We need your help.
What can I do?
It's quite simple. You can tell me when the shipment leaves the factory and the train. If you will do that, we can take care of the rest.
That should not be difficult.
Will you do it?
But of course, senor.
Francis.
This is Pedro, senor. The shipment will leave on the 17th. The train number is 148. That is the through freight express for Berlin.
148, the 17th. Thanks, Pedro. That's just what I wanted.
I'm very glad, senor. Adios.
Goodbye. Mr. Evans, look up the timetable on the express freight to Berlin. Train 148. Check the route and timetable for all the major French cities. Rush it now. We've got to work fast.
Maurice Baxter, American representative serving with the French resistance. Berlin Freight Express arrives Vendôme 2200 hours the 17th. Carries shipment of small arms for German army. Essential it not reach Germany.
We say he's late. It will come. Let's say we're warned. We must take our chances now. Everything has been done. Listen. The freight is coming. Are you ready? Wait. Don't fire too soon. Wait until the answer reaches the shot. I know what I'm doing. Now.
Pistols intended for the German army diverted to the French underground by a foreign service officer working in a neutral country. The American answer when the threat of the blacklist failed. And so the economic war went on. German trade stifled. German collaborators abroad unmasked and immobilized. But one of the most dangerous German activities abroad still remained: espionage. It was in a neutral country that one of the most spectacular roundups of German agents was made. It began in the American legation when Third Secretary John Baker answered the telephone.
Hello?
Hello. Is this the American legation?
Yes. Third Secretary Baker speaking. Who's this?
I cannot tell you my name over the phone, but I have information of vital importance for you. I must speak with you.
Well, why not come down to the legation?
No, I am watched all the time. We must meet in secret.
How?
There's a performance at the Upper House tonight. I will be in box 18 on the ground tier. We can talk in the anteroom of the box without being seen or heard. Do you understand?
Sure, I follow you, but what's this all about? Who are you?
I cannot tell you, but perhaps you will realize the importance of what I have to say Then I tell you I'm a member of the German Gestapo.
That night, Third Secretary John Baker walks down the corridor of the grand tier of the Opera House toward the open door of Box 18.
Mr. Baker?
That's right.
We must talk fast. I cannot stay away from my seat for long. First, let me say I am only half German. My mother was a native of this country. I have seen what has happened to other countries, and I do not want it to happen here. I wish to help you.
What sort of help?
I could give you detailed information about conditions inside Germany, production figures, the effect of your bombings, things like that. I can tell you what I've been assigned to do in this country by the Gestapo.
How much do you want?
I don't want money. I want only to help.
I might be more impressed with your good faith if you'd tell me your name.
I can trust you?
Of course, if you're acting in good faith.
Very well, then. My name is Erich Gutmann. I travel in this country as a buyer for a German firm, but that is not my real purpose. My job is to smuggle looted diamonds into this country and get rid of them.
Oh, so that's where the diamonds have been coming from.
Yes, that has been one of my assignments. Once I have handed over the diamonds, I work here as espionage. This time I am instructed to secure copies of the blueprints for a newly developed anti-aircraft gun.
How will you do it?
Bribery?
Well, look here. The most important information you can give us is a list of the names of the other Gestapo agents operating here.
I'm sorry. I cannot help you there.
Why not?
Because I have no contact with the Gestapo here. I hand the diamonds and the information I get to the doorman at the German legation. I have no contact with the legation or any other Germans here. That is why the authorities have not suspected me.
We've got to find a way to get those names. But meanwhile, there is plenty you can tell us that we're very anxious to know.
There's no time now. I must return to my seat. Be in a legation car at the fountain in the old marketplace at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Let the car move off instantly when I enter, and as we drive, I will tell you everything I know. Quick, drive off.
Thus began a series of conversations that brought vital information to the Allies. Information that was to help reshape the strategy of the High Command. And while he gathered the information, Third Secretary John Baker was planning, somehow, to bring off an even bigger triumph. To use his contact to trap the entire German spy ring in that country. And a few days later, in the legation car.
I am being pressed for the plans of the new gun, Mr. Baker. I can't put them off much longer.
We can fix that up for you. We can have the authorities make exact tracing of the plans with only the secret parts faked. It will take the Germans some time to discover they've been had.
Yes, that will work.
You have no idea who is to receive these plans?
None. That is handled by the German legation. I simply hand the plans to the doorman. After that, I know nothing.
Look here. The Gestapo spies on the members of the legation, doesn't it?
Yes, and all Germans in this country.
Well, who would be in a better position to see who comes and goes at the legation than the doorman?
Yes, that is possible, but how does it help?
Don't you see? If the doorman is a Gestapo man himself, maybe he doesn't pass on the stuff he receives to anyone. Maybe he takes it directly to the Gestapo headquarters.
You may be right.
I'm willing to bet any amount I'm right. We'll get those fake plans to you as quick as we can. The government agents can try to find out what happens to them when you pass them on, but I'm going to follow the doorman. A few days later, the plans were forged, then passed on to the doorman of the German legation. And while hidden secret agents of the neutral government watch closely to see how they are handed on, Third Secretary Baker waits only for the doorman to go off duty and follows him. The chase leads across the town to the slum section, down dingy streets to a narrow alley. The doorman comes to a dilapidated, deserted-looking tenement house and disappears inside. John Baker hesitates a moment, then opens the door and enters. Dark in here. I wonder which way you went. Probably went upstairs. Might as well try it. I'd better get out of here. You will not put up your hands. It's been amusing to watch you following me, very amateurish. Now you must pay the price for your inquisitiveness.
Now, look
You
here.
will not talk, please. Come down the steps, please. Slowly, and with your hands and back. Don't indulge in any foolish ideas. I don't want to shoot you on the stairs.
I warn you that
I
if
will not talk, please. I'm sorry that I'm forced.
This fist is in your back, my Nazi friend. Drop your gun. Drop it. Now get out of here fast, Mr. Baker. We've got the place surrounded. Right to the Gestapo headquarters. Things are going to happen. Get out of here, quick!
Rescued, John Baker watches as government agents storm the building and capture the Gestapo's firing intact. But puzzled over his prompt rescue, he questions the officer in charge of the agent and is informed.
If you had been watching the doorman as we were instead of just waiting for him to go off duty, you would have seen that he did not pass the plans on to anyone, nor did he enter the legation. That is why we followed him. He had to have the plans on him.
But in spite of many wartime triumphs, today, many months after the end of the military war, Foreign Service officers are still carrying on. They are still ferreting out secret Nazi bank accounts, where looted funds lie ready to finance a revival of the party. Secret Nazi patents lie waiting for future use in foreign safes. Nazi firms still act as centers of propaganda and espionage, hiding under the cloak of local citizenship and as local organizations in the countries where they operate. And in this secret war, though techniques have changed with the end of the shooting war, prime soldiers for America are the men of the Foreign Service.